Welcome to The Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Welcome to The Social. We'd like to welcome back host of the NSL on TSN and The Social's Mom Life Crisis series. Kate McKenna joins us.
Hey, guys.
Okay, everybody, I don't know if y'all know, but we've got 5 Canadian teams in the NHL playoffs. A lot of us have hockey fever, and the Canadian press is reporting that some fans, though, are feeling a little guilty about having to travel or choosing to travel to the U.S. to support their teams when they're playing south of the border, given the current political tension. So the question is, do you understand why some fans are feeling that guilt for traveling?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Right? I'm with you guys. I so feel it's such a tricky one because on the one hand, listen, the game is nothing without the fans. And I think every single player out there is like, yes, we need you guys, especially during playoffs.
Yeah.
And if some people have been supporting their team for generations, their grandfather was a Blue Bomber or whatever team.
Oh, that's a different CFL.
Sorry,
CFL,
buddy. CFL. Forgive me.
I see
you're good.
I see it.
It's passed down. So the idea that we're making them feel bad for supporting their team is terrible because your team needs you there. But at the same time, I understand, ever since Donald Trump got into office and signed all of those executive orders, we have felt like he has betrayed us, right? And he has severed that relationship. And we have been very clear about our elbows up, and we're not going. And even the Border Patrol just released a stat saying that 900,000 less Canadians have crossed the border compared to last year this time.
And it's making a difference.
Right? It is making a difference. But I'll say for me, guilt or not guilt, for me, it's all fear. Because I know we're all hearing about these stories about people's electronic devices being taken by Border Patrol. We're seeing their own citizens are being detained. And then, of course, the worst case scenario, you end up in El Salvador in some detention center. And here's the deal. Well, listen, could that happen if I cross the border? Maybe, maybe not. Am I willing to take that chance for a hockey game?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
What do you guys think?
But I'm curious, like, do you guys think it's making a difference? And hear me out. Do we think that if one hockey fan, or even hundreds of hockey fans don't go to this game, that Trump's gonna be like, you know what? Canada, I don't want him to be a 51st state after all. Those tariffs, forget them. Like, do we think
I hear what you're saying.
This is actually going to make a difference?
But I caution you of that line of thinking because it is making an impact. Because people aren't just going for the game itself. Yeah. They're going and they're spending their hard-earned dollars at hotels and they're eating out at restaurants. And so that adds to their economy, which we don't want. And we have very little power right now in this situation. One of the only things we have is choosing where we put our dollars. So I would say for diehard hockey fans, you know, guilt is an emotion that I feel like I mostly think people should not feel. You shouldn't feel guilty about eating a cupcake, but you should feel a little bit guilty right now about supporting any American companies. And I did it this past weekend. There was a coffee shop that I wanted to go to that wasn't open, that was Canadian. I went to the American one. I'm supposed to feel guilt. That is a natural reaction to not...
But those are Canadian workers.
I know, but it gets complicated. I've made a commitment to myself, so I felt a little bit guilt. So I think you can make a different choice. If you're a big hockey fan, first of all, know that they're coming here. There's going to be a game here that you could go to.
Be a home game.
And if you can't get to that for some reason, what if you did this? You take the money that you would have spent, and they say on average, if you were going to be a fan to go somewhere else, you'd be spending around $1,300 per trip. Take some of that money and support a Canadian business. Put the hockey game on there, hire it out. Why not?
Listen, I hear you. And I do think on an individual level, it feels really good. And Mel, I'm really interested in your thought on this because, like, to what end does this advocacy go to? Like, are we expecting then that the same people who aren't going to hockey games are also not paying for Netflix and they're not playing for Disney?
Oh, that's a good thing.
And they're not shopping on Amazon? I think, listen, okay, there's a whole other angle that I looked at to this, and that's because last year when I think it was 2024 NHL playoffs, Toronto, there was a moment where Toronto possibly could have faced the Florida Panthers. And why is that significant? Because the Toronto Star did this article saying that the ticket prices for Toronto fans here in Toronto is so expensive and out of reach that they actually did all the math that you could get one ticket. For the cost of one ticket, you could get a flight somewhere to Florida, get a hotel room, get a hockey ticket, and still have money left over to play with instead of, you know. So the other angle I look at this is if you are the parents of a young fan who has been a diehard Maple Leafs fan. And we know the tickets are out of reach for most of us regular people here. You cannot get a ticket unless you're spending.
This is the time when you were teaching little Johnny a life lesson about Canada.
No, you just said yesterday. No, but you just said yesterday, Cynthia, there's some things that kids should not be shouldering. And if you have a young fan, you're not supposed to be riddling them with Trump's garbage.
So you don't want to let politics.
I'm just going to say.
I don't know. I think it's a totally different
Okay, but wait.
now.
Maybe this is a call to action for the NHL. You make some valid points to lower the price. So we don't have to get NHL.
But is this about price? Okay.
Lower the price.
I want to show you a picture.
Yeah.
So I was down in Florida last year, and we got tickets for $40 to watch the Maple Leafs play the Florida Panthers. And so there's Ryan and Marquez. You know, look how close those seats are. I could touch the glass, okay?
Yeah.
I want to show you a sign from a little boy that was there. He was there from Barrie, Ontario. It says, "We drove from Barrie, Ontario." You know why? Because it was cheaper for those parents who probably couldn't afford a ticket in Toronto to drive the family to Florida.
Okay, but
Yeah,
I'd
that's
like
the
to hear
problem.
from that family today, because I'm going to guess that they're the same family who are saying, you know what, unfortunately, we're not going to do it this year. In light of world events, we are actually teaching our kids to make empowered choices.
I believe that.
support
For the greater good. For the greater good. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Anywho, oh, do you want to?
No, I just love this audience. We cheered for the boy because we were so happy, but we also cheered that we shouldn't go.
Yeah, that's right. That's okay. We can hold space for both of those
That's
things.
true. That's true.
Okay, so if you're a fan of sports and fashion, apparently the place to be is the Little League. So according to the Wall Street Journal, kids these days are decked out. That's thanks in parts to the MLB loosening their rules around team colors. So what do we think about fashion trends in youth sports, Kate?
I don't think they should be allowed. I don't think they should be allowed.
Okay.
Yeah,
They're
I agree.
booing.
No, I
Oh my
agree.
God.
And I'll tell you, it's for the same reason why I loved wearing a uniform in high school.
Yeah.
Because it leveled the playing field and nobody got left behind. And I grew up playing sports, and there are so many ways that we expressed ourselves and our style. Things like in soccer, whether you wore your shorts high or low, your shin pads high or low, your socks high or low. What makes those things all the same is the fact that they are free. And I worry that when kids and parents feel like they have to spend a ton of money on these things, kids get left out and then drop out of sports.
Interesting.
But what if, okay, I love that. Yeah. And we do know a lot of sports are already expensive just to get into, so fair enough. But what if that thing is what finally gets your kid out of the house? My daughter, who has 2 athletic parents, I consider myself pretty fit. My daughter has no athletic bones in her body. Has no interest. Yet. Thank you.
Yet.
Thank you, Auntie Andrea.
Yes, yet.
She decided that finally, Mommy, I want to try dance. Ryan and I were like, oh, she likes something. So guess what we did? We were like, let's go try free intro class. She went into the free intro class. My daughter just lit up. I love dancing. And I said, thank God, we found something. But here's the but. When she walked in, she's 11 years old, and you guys know 11 to start dance is very old. Most of these girls are starting at 2 and 3 and 4. So when she walked in, she was in with a bunch of veterans. She clocked the things that veteran dancers have. They have a sparkly duffel bag, they have the right tap shoes, they have the right water bottle, and they have Lululemon stretchy pants, okay? So guess what my daughter said? I love dance. Mommy, I need all this stuff. And so we were like, okay. Why? Because she wants to fit in. And guess what we did? We didn't buy her everything. We found and repurposed a duffel bag. We repurposed a pair of pants she already had. We did buy the tap shoes. We had to buy the tap shoes. And guess what? She is so excited to dance.
Yeah. Listen, and you tapped onto something that, listen, I have a lot of family members who put their kids into all this like youth sports stuff, and on average it costs between $1,000 and $10,000 per child annually just to have your kid participate, right? So let's do the math. So most parents right now are listening to that going, I can't afford that. And then there are a lot of other parents who are like, you know what, I do have the money and I have 3 kids and they're all in extracurricular stuff. So if I am the person who owns a sports goods business, and I know that we have a parent who's willing to spend 10 grand on little Johnny, who's he's not in the pros, right? 10 grand on him just for signing up. And then I know kids like to what? Fit in with everybody. You know what? I am gonna charge you $300 for that ice cream cone mitt or the glasses or whatever, because I know that's where the business is. Because if you're willing to spend 10 grand, $300 on a mitt or glasses
like
is nothing.
Yeah,
so the
that's
kids are
pressure
going
on the parents.
to put pressures on the parents.
That's actually really cute, though.
This is the
Right?
club. I mean, look at the price
Kinda
of that. $316. I don't know. I just think that we have to be careful that we don't end up teaching kids that they have to chase the stuff.
Yes.
Because I don't think ultimately it's going to be make them happy.
Listen, but not every parent is. There was a study done about Canadian girls dropping out of sports, and by the time they get to adolescence, 1 of 3 girls in this country drops out. And when they asked them why, 2 of the reasons listed included poor perceptions of belonging and not feeling welcome. So if we allow these things, then what happens? It's a slippery slope of sport only being for the privileged.
That's right.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, that glove was really cute.
Yeah, I was like,
I might start baseball just for that glove.
casting is open for the new season of Couples Therapy, a reality series where couples unpack their issues on camera. Take a look.
People can get very dug in.
Can't stand it anymore.
Sometimes it does require a real push, and they don't like it.
Oh, it's just so hard to manage. Jesus Christ.
Ooh, now, right? Okay, so listen up. You would get 20 sessions of therapy for free with a world-renowned therapist. That's worth a lot of money. So, would you sign up for this?
100%. Did you guys hear that intro? You get 20 sessions with Orna. And I don't know if anyone's watched the show. Orna is a queen. She is a goddess. I feel like if I just breathed the same air, I would become more evolved.
Yep.
It's normally $700 to $800 per session with her. So yes, I would do it. And I've already talked about my sex life on this show, postpartum on this show, and I haven't gotten any expertise back, so why not? I love you. I love you. Cynthia's come the closest. I love you. Okay. Yeah, I would.
Take it.
Yeah,
I'll take
I would.
Okay, so I wouldn't do this right now because it would require you going to the States, and I would feel too guilty about doing that.
Nice.
Say that.
Nice.
But in theory, I would do it, but I wouldn't do it necessarily on this particular show. I would do it with Esther Perel, who we've talked about being a big fan of. She is based out of New York, but she has a podcast, which I imagine you could do remotely. I think she does a lot of those online sessions. And there is something about it. She has an elegance and a poetry and an in-depth knowledge very quickly of people and their issues. And so I've been in couples therapy before. It is an art. So I would like to be a part of that. And I also, I think we need to normalize. I know people's concerns, as you represented, are probably like, oh my God, I don't want my family or my bosses to know my dirty laundry. But I actually think our relationships impact so many parts of our lives. It would be better if our bosses actually know. I'm struggling right now because it impacts you showing up at work. I think people will be more empathetic knowing that you're a full human who has relationships that can impact your job.
Okay, so that's for adults, and I love that angle. But the other angle is you are opening up not just your own dirty laundry, but who doesn't have daddy issues? And so you implicate other people. So you're probably talking about your parents. You're probably talking about stuff that if you have young children, their dirty laundry, I mean, I can make an argument that that's a very healthy thing to see your parents work through issues, but I can also argue for some kids, this is not stuff that they want out. If you choose to put your life out there, maybe protect their privacy.
Yeah, no, you raised a good point because I obviously I go to therapy, I love therapy, and I got excited. I would love this. I've never been to couples therapy, but I have been in a lot of arguments with a lot of boyfriends. And follow me. Have you ever been having a heated discussion with someone and you say something and then they repeat it back to you, but you're like, that's not what I said. And I would want to do this show just so I could be like, yes, roll back the tape of when you said this, because that's not, right? That would scratch an itch for me. I'm like, sign me up. I would pay to do that show.
Jason and I have actually,
I would love that.
We've occasionally, without a therapist around, we've recorded an argument when it's starting to get heated.
And how does that go?
It's an interesting thing because then you don't want to listen back, but I have listened back before, and it's like you can understand how quickly, when in the heat of the moment, you can misinterpret tone and the way that people sound. So it is an effective
and learn
thing.
more about
yourself. Pop out a phone next time you're in the middle of an argument.
Sign me up. I love it.
The other thing is, there's reality shows out there where I would be worried about how I would be edited, but this is one where the production team and Orna seem so cohesive. Like, do you guys know on this show, participants never see a camera. they never see a crew member because all the cameras are so hidden because they care so much about the authenticity of the conversation. So this is one where it seems like what happens in that room is actually portrayed on television.
But do you think a bunch of TV people could forget about a camera and a hot mic?
I do. I think once you start talking,
or lighting, I'd be like, if I don't get that Mariah Carey lighting, I'm not doing it.
Makeup?
I'd be like, girl,
Makeup?
There we go.
Girl, let's do a little lip gloss, something.
Okay. Let's keep it moving because the Reasonably Shady podcast recently sparked debate about the right way to put on your bra. Check this out.
How do you put your bra on?
I put my arms in and then I button it in the back.
Oh, see, I don't do it that way.
Right. Latch it in the front. And then they swing it around and then they put their arms in.
That's how I do it.
Where did you get that from?
I don't know. That's just that's just how I've always put my bra on.
That's actually weird. And it takes too much time.
It makes sense.
I love how
The audience loved this one. So Cynthia, what's the right way to put on a bra?
I mean, the way I do it, which I think is the right way, is the second way. It's to put it in front, hook it, turn it around, and then this way.
Thank you.
Can anybody do it the other way?
No,
The other way, you gotta hang your boobs forward and.
Thank you. The only person who's putting on their bra arms first and clipping is a contortionist or a woman who wears one of those tiny itty bitty single clip bras because you know you have one shot. If you got a 2 clipper or a 3 clipper, girl, you gotta do that in the front first. You'll never get it done.
What about you,
Never.
Kate?
I don't even know what language you're speaking because I wear sports bras, so I'm like,
Over top. Yes.
Thank you for that. I don't know who said it, but someone said no bra.
Should we take ours off?
No,
I mean, we should take ours off.
Ready? It's funny because there is a third option. I was waiting to hear because there is another option, and that is clipping it before you put anything on and put the whole thing on like a sports bra.
How do you get into it?
Yeah.
Girl.
Yes, that's how I do it.
You can clip and get it?
Yes.
you clip it.
You clip it.
No.
Everything I wear is stretchy, number one. So maybe that's why. You clip the clips on because do you know the 3 clippers? I don't know who's got eyes in the back of their back.
No.
You can't do it.
You can't do the 3 clippers. So I actually do the clips and then slide it in and like a sports bra.
Do you do that in front of a fan? Because if I tried that, I'd need a full fan because I'm going to break out into a sweat trying to get into a bra that's already clipped.
Yes. We just need to talk to who's manufacturing these.
Yeah.
They don't like all women.
Nope.
Okay, I'm telling you, they don't like all women.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we settled that.
And on commercial break, Mel's going to give us a demonstration.
Yes. Okay, it's springtime. This is the perfect story. Would you ever consider getting a nanny for your plants? Listen, this is a serious New York Times reporting, okay? And they say that a new crop of caretakers are available to polish and prune your botanical babies while you are away. A plant nanny, yay or nay, Sin?
Okay, it's funny. I have many thoughts about this out of the gate. One is that we had a segment on the show yesterday about robots, and I feel like this is a job that the robots will eventually do. So I wouldn't say do this as a career path. Listen, if it was just the plants in my home, no, I don't want to outsource that. I think I could Google information about how to keep them alive better. But if it's about a whole outdoor setup, like my mother, for example, has this beautiful garden. I feel like she could use a plant nanny. I'm changing my view. I don't know how I feel about this.
Wait, maybe your mom is a plant nanny because she's so good with it.
She is still a plant nanny, but eventually she's going to need help. And
Moms have a secret thing.
Yeah.
My mom is the queen of plants, and she's the orchid whisperer. Are your moms this?
Yeah.
Orchids are so finicky, those little plants. Mine all die, and then I think, oh, they're dead. And she comes over, takes care of all my plants. She takes my little orphan, sad, dying orchids. She takes them home, brings them back full and alive. I don't know what she's doing.
You know what? You make a good point.
They go through a dormancy period, and everyone thinks they're dead, and then they come back.
You make a good point. The moms do have it because my mom has the same thing. But why has it been passed down to us? Because whatever the opposite of a green thumb is, that's what color my thumb is. Because no one can kill a plant faster than me. I'm probably the perfect candidate for a plant nanny, although I'll never get one because I feel like if you can't take care of a plant, do you really? I mean, like, it seems like a pretty.
Should you have them at all?
Should you have one at all?
$50 an hour.
Okay.
I'm not spending $50 an hour for someone to put water and take a few leaves off. I'm
You
just
wouldn't
not doing
believe
that.
what I've spent $50 on. We outsource everything because we know what we don't know in our house, my husband and I, and we don't know a lot.
Okay, what do you outsource?
So therapy.
Okay,
We have
that's
a money
necessary.
coach to help us with our money. We hire people to build IKEA
spend money
furniture
to-
because
okay.
we don't want to get divorced.
Okay.
And we are like
Okay.
VIPs on those handy person apps where you can get them to come over. So they've come recently and hung frames for us.
So your husband doesn't know how to hang a
No, and neither do I. It's not his fault.
I'm not judging. I'm not
Look at
judging.
That is a thing of beauty.
Beautiful.
I could not do that myself.
It's a professional touch.
It is
But
a
listen,
professional touch.
And
I
it's
do
only
sound
gone
judgy.
wrong one time. One time, my husband and I divided up chores in the fall, one weekend. I came home and there's a random man raking leaves. And I was like, and sir, you are? And my husband just said, you told me to get it done, you didn't say how.
Wow.
Do you know who that guy is?
No, he was hired in the app.
I love it. I love it.
You just got to marry a contractor next time,
Next
Kate. I
marriage.
mean, not next time. Not next time. Next time.
Next time. Listen, we're in couples therapy. All right, so next, someone posted on Reddit to ask, what's a cheat code you discovered in real life that actually works?
Oh my gosh.
So here's a couple of responses. Don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't go to for advice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And start taking your seasonal allergy meds before you actually need them. So what's a cheat code in life that you guys have discovered that
Oh,
works?
I just want to bounce off of that because one just came into my head that about who you take advice from. And a lot of people will say take advice from your friends and family closest to you. No, take advice from someone who's where you want to be, where you want to be. That's I read that recently. Here's a hack. I think it's a good cheat. If you have to go into any social situation and you don't know how to like start a conversation, to me, the best thing that I've learned as an adult, which was only recently that I felt like I was an adult, you go into any situation, you ask somebody, hey, what are you working on these days that's getting you really excited?
It's good. Get curious.
And then that way it doesn't have to be about work. It's not about identity and work and all the hustle culture. It's something that you can hopefully get to know somebody for.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
I think that one is good. Do I have any other ones? Oh, meal prep Sundays. Don't start your week with a batch cooking and meal prepping everything for the Sunday. You make less poor food choices that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's true.
For me, it's going to be very unpopular, but if you really want to lower your cortisol levels and get a good night's sleep and have more money in your savings account, don't have children. That was just for my single girl. I'm sorry, controversial take. I know. Boo me, boo me. I said it.
It's true.
I said it.
It's true.
It's for my single girls out there.
I mean, I have a few things. Like, I think that one of the things that I've learned, and I'm not always perfect at it, is to just like protect your peace at all costs. We are constantly being yoinked around.
Yeah.
And it's in our nature to get stirred, and there's no shortage of places that'll stir your passions, but we only have so much energy in a day, and so you don't want to expend that energy on things that actually then leave you with nothing else to
Yeah,
give.
what does Mel Robbins say? Let them?
Protect, let them.
Let them.
It's very
Yeah,
Michelle
good advice.
Obama of you.
Oh, okay, thank
It's
you.
very Michelle Obama of you. Okay, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.